All right, there's only a few certainties in life. You got death, you got taxes, me procrastinating, and Flareon being in the lowest tier possible. But in this situation, we're going to see Flareon be the greatest it's ever been. So, hello everybody. It's me again, your commissioner. And we're going to talk about bad Pokemon and how bad Pokemon are the key of you having the strongest draft team possible. Now, it's no secret that when you scroll through the NU tier, you don't see a lot of strong Pokemon. They're down here for a reason. Alright? These Pokemon are never used in higher tiers because they are either completely outclassed by something that's better, their stats just don't hang up with the rest of them, or, any other reason as simple as, oh, it's just bad. Its stats are just abysmal and there's no reason to use them. But in draft, the way that our format is set up, these terrible Pokemon have a chance to shine and take over a week and give you that little edge you need to pull out a big dub. So Flareon is kind of my my go-to example of how a low tier Pokemon is going to be very good. And it's not even looking at the fact that it has the highest base stat total of any Pokemon down in this region, but it's also one of 14 fully evolved fire types in ADV. Not just OU, the entire tier. And I would like to reiterate that we are a 14-team draft. So somebody is going to have Flareon as their fire type. If they need a fire type, they're going to have to rely on Flareon, which is a sentence that I never thought I would have to say in my entire life. So what makes these Pokemon worth using besides, oh, it has high stats, I can probably make it work? Today I want to talk about unique characteristics and mechanics that might be able to make these Pokemon actually usable in our format. So I'll start with Flareon because, we're talking about him. Like all the evolutions, it has access to Baton Pass, it has access to Wish, which are phenomenal tools. Flareon has a really high physical attack stat, but then you remember physical special split. All those fire moves are coming off of its base 95 special attack, which in the grand scheme of things isn't great, but in draft format, sometimes all you need is a pretty strong overheat, with 140 base power and the weaker power level of everything around it. I could get some KOs, and then you can follow it up with things like Double Edge and things like that. And of course, Shadow Ball is really good physical coverage for Flareon as well, and it can play Wish support with Toxic because its special defense stat is actually really respectable. It's just a shame that, Water is the most common special attack and it's weak to it. So I think Flareon is a great choice for team, obviously, because we have a limited number of fire types. So you want to make sure that if you're going to get a low tier fire type and you've kind of decided in your preparation that that's what you're going for, you might find yourself overdrafting Flareon for that role. And, it's something you got to be comfortable with, because if this is something you're planning on falling back on, you got to be ready. So what are other things to look for in the lower tiers? I'll start with the easy ones, the little elephant in the room. Rapid spinners in this tier: Hitmonchan, Delibird, War Turtle, and then the baby Pokemon that don't do anything. This is a situation where you're drafting a mechanic over a Pokemon. Hitmonchan is a little bit of an exception because it is usable. It has decent physical attack. It gets moves like Focus Punch. It is all the punches, but with his special attack, you are never going to click any of the elemental punches. We got the Rapid Spin, like I mentioned. Rock Slide is a really good move. And then, of course, your physical hidden power. Hitmonchan, another one of the best Pokemon you can really get out of this tier. Unfortunately, you're stuck with Keen Eye because Iron Fist doesn't exist. It'd be really nice if it did, but, it is what it is. So we're going to look at Spikes. Who are the Spikers? Unfortunately, cannot use Cacturne. He would be a phenomenal pick. Arguably the best Pokemon that you could get from these low tiers. But unfortunately, is banned because of Sandville and his shenanigans with Tyranitar. Despite how we're set up, it is still something we have to abide by because it is the actual rules of the tier, and we are following them. So, in NU, you want a Spiker in the low tiers. It's Glalie, it's Roselia, and here's Omanite. Now, if you're going to go and take some NFEs that aren't very good, right, you want to make sure that whatever you're getting, that mechanic is so important that you cannot go without it. And I made the joke in the first video I made covering our Season 10 draft. Omanite could be worth it. It's very, very bad. Like, this is abysmal. It is a terrible Pokemon. But however, Spikes, he does not learn Rapid Spin. He has Spikes. And you know what? You might just need a Spiker that week. There are worse things to draft than just getting a Spiker. If you're desperate, it's at the end. You go, fuck it, I'm going to take Omanite. And that's what you do, and it is what it is. Now, on that same kind of topic, is it worth taking NFEs like something like Dragonair, you know? There's only, I think, just like 4, maybe 5 fully evolved dragons. And Dragonair, you know, has stats. It's like, oh yeah, I could make it work. This is a situation where what can Dragonair offer over a fully evolved Pokemon? And we're looking through, besides its dragon typing, we have Dragon Dance. With its middling stats, it's really not going to abuse Dragon Dance well. It has Haze, which is unique. You know, it's very cool. We're looking. I'm not seeing anything that's sticking out to me. Now, I know that Dragonite learns Heal Bell. Dragonair does not. That's unfortunate. So, this is a situation where, oh, I'm so desperate for a dragon, I'll take Dragonair. This is a Pokemon you're never going to bring. It's a waste of your roster slot. Don't take it. Just to, you know, put it bluntly. So outside of the obvious Spikes and Rapid Spin and limited fire types, right? Those are options where, you know, if they're there, you got to take it. You got to at least have them to give yourself a shot at a complete team. What else do we have here? You know, it's like, why should I consider any of these Pokemon that don't have those attributes? I want to go over a couple of them where you can even see, oh, this is something unique. I might be able to take advantage of it. And I'm going to start with Chimecho. A lot of people don't know that he's a Gen 3 Pokemon because, like, you can only find him in Mount Pyre. And he's, like, really rare. But despite being really cute and not having good stats, Chimecho has Heal Bell, which is a very limited move in terms of distribution. And it has Hypnosis. So this thing has really good support tools. It has Yawn, Taunt, Toxic, the screens. This thing can be annoying. It doesn't have the stats to do damage, but it can act as a cleric role if you find yourself going up in a matchup where you know that they're going to have a lot of status moves. You have Pokemon that don't want to be status. Maybe you want to use Rest a lot. You could bring in Chimecho and you can, you know, use your EVs to really maximize your bulk to make sure Chimecho can get off these Heal Bells. This is something that could really help you, even if you only bring it 1 or 2 weeks. Just having that option in your back pocket is huge. And it might even make your opponent have to go, I really want to spam a lot of status moves. But, you know, having Heal Bell really kind of steps on my plan. I might have to change up what I want to do, you know, going against what the team could be strongest in. So that's something where I think a Pokemon like Chimecho could do really well. So, Diglett, he's Arena Trap. Basically getting a one-shot on anything that's weak to ground and slower than base 95. You have no bulk. If something spits water at you, you die. If it blows on you, you die. You know? You can slap on a Choice Band, you can click Earthquake. You know, you can get some trapping in. This is a pretty solid pick in a low tier, just to make sure that, you know, you have a team that needs, you know, things picked apart, so your other Pokemon can clean up. Diglett can offer that support. In that same vein, I can talk about Trapinch. He does the same thing, except he has no speed, but he has a really high attack stat. It's higher than Dugtrio's. Choice Band, I mean, base 100 attack, that's Flygon's attack stat. So Choice Band Earthquake from Trap Pinch hits hard. You just have to make sure you can live a hit with 45 defenses. So Trap Pinch is a surprisingly decent pick in that regard. So let's look at a Pokemon like Dugong real quick. Dugong is just another unfortunate example of it's a Gen 1 water type. It doesn't have much in terms of statisticals, but what it does have, which is really unique, is Encore. And Encore in old gens is broken. 3 to 6 turns, your opponent has to use the same move, which you could definitely take advantage of, as well with cool techniques like Paris Song, facilitate some interesting strategies, really dissuade setup sweepers in that regard. So Dugong is a Pokemon that has a niche, with Encore. If you want to pull off some Encore strats, that's something that might be worth doing. Look at something like Metang. It's a Steel type, very limited on Steel types. This is an example where a non-fully evolved Pokemon might be good, right? Because Steel is such a good defensive profile. It's much better than Dragon. And Metang, unfortunately, does not get Meteor Mash. Oh, it does. Oh, never mind. He does have Meteor Mash, so he does have a good stab move. And there's no Eviolite, which is unfortunate, but having a switch in, having a Steel type on your team when you don't have one is really nice. And again, it's a lot nicer than having that Dragon. So Metang would be worth picking up if you're desperate for a Steel type. We talked a little about Roselia. Sableye I won't get into too much. Another case where you're drafting the typing, and Sableye can do a lot more than just be a ghost. It doesn't have Will-O-Wisp, which sucks. It has Recover, which is nice. It does not have Prankster, does not exist yet. And I believe it has Nightshade, it does. So it has consistent damage output. It has Knockoff, which is very strong, getting rid of lefties. Especially if you're the team that has Tyranitar, you want to get rid of your opponent's leftovers, so they're taking Sandship, which is really nice if you're going to play a long and passive kind of game. Sableye also gets Taunt. He gets lots of unique moves that he can take advantage of and offer some good support for the team. Even stuff like Mean Look is good. So even with these bad stats, being a ghost that's worth using is very nice. Haunter is very good. You should take him. It's just Baby Gengar in a lower tier. Weaker, frailer. It's a good Pokemon. Pikachu has Light Ball. I talked about it before. Pikachu's pretty solid. Does Torkoal have Rapid Spin? It does not. That's very unfortunate. Otherwise, Torkoal would be, very nice. But again, this is one of the limited fire types. And I personally would rather have Flareon than Torkoal. Even just looking at statistics and looking at moveset, you share Yawn, you share Overheat, but there's no Wish, there's no Baton Pass. So Torkoal doesn't offer as much team support as something like Flareon would. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so I want to talk about Wailord for a little bit. Wailord has a huge HP stat. And with a huge HP stat, it can pull off big HP substitutes. So if you have Wailord, you're going up against a team with Blissey or Chansey. You know that their main damage output move is Seismic Toss. Having this high HP stat means you can make more than 100 HP substitutes, which means that you cannot get your sub broken by Seismic Toss, which is really nice and allows Wailord to kind of pull off some funny techniques. Like, you don't want to couple Water Spout with Substitute, obviously. That's very counterintuitive. But talking on Water Spout, with 90 special attack and the sheer power of that move, if you pair Wailord with like Paralysis support, you could definitely get off some powerful Water Spouts and do a lot of damage. But yeah, Self-Destruct is really cool because Wailord's attack stat is as high as its special attack. Got Earthquake. It's got good moves. Wailord, he's a little different than the other water types because he can explode and has Water Spout. So this is something where, you might be interested in this, in having 2 water types. One being a bit more defensive in nature and then having Whale Lord is kind of like a supplemental, you know, water type offense to have on your team, which could be really cool. So I'm gonna look down in PU, and now we're really getting into the bottom of the barrel. Here's McCargo. I forget the name of the Pokemon that he evolves from. Please let me know in the comments if you remember his name, because I do not. But looking down in PU, we're really at the bottom of the barrel, like I was saying. And Ariados comes to mind as something that could have its use one week, where you pull it out and everybody's like, yo, it's Ariados, what's he doing here? So let's say, for example, you're putting together a team and you're kind of looking and you realize, I'm a little weak to Breloom. You know, it's like Breloom is one Pokemon, but then you look at Ariados and his Insomnia ability, where he can't go to sleep. And he has a quad resistance to fighting. And you also have Sludge Bomb. All of a sudden, you have the hardest check to Breloom you could possibly imagine. So you're able to then use that advantage. And look at that, you have Baton Pass and Agility, right? Signal Beam's a solid move. You have Psychic to also do some damage, even though you have a pretty mediocre special attack stat. Giga Drain, like, you have some interesting techniques with Ariados. Even, again, if you never bring it, you know? You have this move Spiderweb, which is just Mean Look, but, you know, spider themed. You could make some crazy combinations happen with Ariados, again, even if it's just one time. You know, just having that technique in your back pocket is super important. And like, you're coming down here, it's just like, oh my god, what am I going to do with Furret? The answer is nothing, right? I want to compare Furret to another Pokemon that's down here. Talk about Raticate. Now, why would you ever use Furret over Raticate besides the fact that Furret is cute? And the answer is not the stats. And it's not the ability, because Guts is very nice. So if you accidentally come in on like a Will-O-Wisp or a Toxic, all of a sudden Raticate is doing a lot of damage. And base 97 speed is not the worst. I mean, it's not great, but I actually think Raticate is he the fastest Pokemon down here? Yeah, he is. So if you want anything that's remotely quick, Raticate's not bad. And poor Furret, unfortunately, has nothing. Like, Trick is cool, but like, there's other Pokemon that you can use Trick with. And I don't even think that niche is enough to justify taking Furret, besides it's cute. And that's it. He's cute. How's his shiny? Is he freaking shiny? Oh, that's a good shiny. Okay, Furret is a good shiny. There's two reasons that you could take him. But just scrolling down to the bottom again, we got guys like Kingler, right? I think Kingler's a Pokemon that you could definitely get mileage out of. Not only because his attack stat is huge. His move pool is pretty barren. He has Knockoff, which is nice. Knockoff just offers so much utility. Special attack is so bad. This is a case where you have a really solid water type. Maybe you got lucky in the first round. You took something like Suicune, right? You have a defensive and offensive water type in one. Kingler is water in defensive profile only. He's never going to use a water move. If he is, it's because you're going up against a team that has 6 mons weak to water, basically. So yeah, with something like Kingler, like, you would probably just run like Body Slam and like a Choice Band, right? You know, maybe Double Edge instead if you want the extra power. Attack on Knockoff. Honestly, you could probably still throw on Surf if you got to run into a Rock type. It's just going to be pitiful damage. It's not worth investing in. Then you got your hidden power. So yeah, Kingler has his moment. If you can agility pass him some speed, he could definitely do some good damage in the late game with Double Edge, things like that. So you could do worse than Kingler, but again, he doesn't offer the water typing, which you would kind of expect. So Mawile is a steel type, really nice. Intimidate is great defensive utility there. And again, we're coming down to the end. Really not seeing much. I want to go over Lickitung real quick. This is a Pokemon that I think should get drafted 100%. Not only is he funny, he also has Wish, and he also has Heal Bell. This combination is only learned by 3 evolutionary lines. Blissey Chansey, this guy, and Delcatty. And Lickitung, looking at the statisticals, is a lot bulkier than Delcatty. So you're actually able to kind of use that Wish plus Heal Bell, throw on Protect, right? You got a stat Body Slam, that's nice. You also have Knockoff, which is a big deal, but you get consistent damage with Seismic Toss. So these horrible attacking stats, which are worse... Is it worse than Yeah, it's worse than Delcatty's. It's just... it's insane. It's like, I can't believe I'm sitting here saying that Lickitung is worth a roster spot, and thinking of modern Pokemon and everything. Even his evolutionary form, Licky has definitely had his time in lower tiers, but, unfortunately he doesn't exist. And we also got Swords Dance here, so you can run like an SD set. Curse. Yeah, Lickitung, good Pokemon. Delcatty, he could do the same things. Heal Bell, Wish, and you don't have any of those setup options. You have Baton Pass. Fortunately, cannot pass Calm Mind. But yeah, it's just another situation where we have an outclassing. But again, Delcatty's not the worst. I just personally would not recommend, gun-hoing for it unless you're really, yeah. I love Delcatty. That's my favorite guy in the world. He needs to be on my team. But yeah, that's just kind of a process that I go through when I'm looking for bad Pokemon to add to my team. I look at them with the intent of I might bring them 1 or 2 weeks, if that. They offer something more than just I want to make sure that I have a poison type, so I'm gonna take Arbok, for example. It's more than that. It's I'm taking Arbok not only because I need a poison type, but I like the Intimidate. I like the potential for a decently strong Sludge Bomb. And then having access to Glare, which is just worse Thunder Wave. It's like, are there many poison types with Thunder Wave in the low tiers? I don't know. Let's find out. Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave. There are none in the lower tiers. It's just Quillfish in the entire game. So this is your only poison type that can throw off. He can throw off a paralysis move, and that's kind of cool. That's why I would want him on my team. So just things to think about. That's going to be it for this video. Just leave you with final thoughts of, draft mechanics more than just stats. And make sure that what you take in these lower tiers can benefit you in some way. Even if you never bring it, just having that option is really nice. But yeah, that's it for this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Goodbye.